Today's episode is brought to you by Alexandria Archives, the early morning radio show for the South's weirdest university. Visit alexandriaarchives.com today to find out more about the school where running into ghosts, vampires, and things that go bump in the night is just another day on campus. That's alexandriaarchives.com. Go Wendigos.
Zachary, this is Shan. Listen, I know I'm probably the last person on earth you want to talk to right now, but it's about Ren. She's in trouble, and I need your help if I'm going to save her.
This is Spines.
I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I think you'll understand what I need you to do and what I'm going to do. Ren tried to get me to stay behind at the Burrow while she went to negotiate with Iris. She told me she needed me to watch over Akira. She said that she didn't trust Winry and Miranda and the others to protect themselves, not with a harvester nearby. Those reasons were true, but they were also lies. They weren't the real reason. To me, Ren's lies smell coppery, like old pennies. She doesn't lie often, and when she does, it's mostly to herself. This time, the real reason was that she didn't want me to get hurt. I understand why she was worried about that. Her gifts make her a fighter. Mine don't. Even so, I wouldn't listen. I insisted on going, if only to be there when she met Iris. It was a long drive to Ren's birthplace. Days and nights in the car, driving across country that became flatter and drier as we went. It's hard for me to be in a car that long. It's even hard speaking into this voice recorder right now, being so close to metal and plastic. It hurts, but I'll get through it. You need to hear what happened. That city where you and Ren were born. It's that city that people only speak about on the news as a toxic chemical spill site, or an example of urban blight, or the place no one lives anymore because all the jobs left. That city in the desert no one ever goes to anymore. None of the people who talk about that city seem to realize they're all listing different causes of death. The traffic started to thin nearly 100 miles out. I could feel it around me, the thinning concentration of metal and chrome and motor oil. Normal people probably don't think about why. They probably just convince themselves they don't want to go in that direction. Not me, though. Not us. I could smell what happened to that city, even from far away. I could taste bits of its history embedded in dust particles floating on the wind. It frightened me. I don't know if I managed to hide that fear from Ren, or if she just pretended not to notice. There were cars again once we reached the northern edge of the city. But these were different. These ones weren't moving. They were crashed, rusted, crumbling, blocking the highway and spilling off the side of the road. Animals moved through the shrubs and cactus patches as we went by, but I don't think they were animals normals would recognize. The air smelled of chalk and burning vinyl. We reached a point where we could no longer wind our way between the wrecked cars. So we got out and walked. Neither of us spoke, but I could smell what was happening in Ren's mind, the anger and the fear, and the memories. And love, I think that was for you. We reached a ramp, one leading to another part of the highway that would take us to the center of the city. But there was something blocking that ramp. Listen carefully, Zachary. This is what it looked like. Imagine a swimming pool. Still, clear water, light refracting along the walls of the pool. Now imagine that swimming pool tipped over on its side. Imagine the water is gray instead of blue, rippling shadows of slate and charcoal instead of turquoise. Imagine it smells like crushed sage and fresh pomegranate. Odd, fresh scents for something so wrong. This pool, this sideways pool, is stretched to fill the entire width of the on-ramp, so you would have to walk through it if you wanted to continue. We tried to find a way around it. There should have been an infinite number of ways into this city, cutting across suburban yards, and parking lots, and climbing over fallen trees. But no, there was no other way. It wasn't anything obvious, no walls or fences that didn't belong there. But every single path that should have existed simply didn't. We found obstacles at every turn, and even without speaking about it, we both understood what was happening. I touched Ren's wrist and I got one of my little glimpses. Her, just minutes in the future, walking into that gray pool alone. I didn't tell her what I saw, but she caught something from the look on my face. Other people can't read me at all. Most people, the ones at the burrow, they have no idea what's going on beneath my surface. Ren, she sees me. I have to go through, don't I? She said. She didn't seem scared at all. More like it was some kind of unpleasant chore, one she didn't want to spend her time on. I asked her not to go. Please believe that, Zachary. I wouldn't want her walking into danger any more than you would. But we both know Ren can't be told what to do. She led me back to the gate. That's what I'm calling it, that rippling pool, because I don't know what else to call it. Ren watched it for a while. Then she touched the surface. Her fingertips slipped right through the surface like it was water, even though I could smell it was nothing like that. Seems okay, she said. Then she stepped through. And even though I could see the outline of cars and trees and the highway beyond the gate, she immediately disappeared. I tried to go after her, just like you would have. I went straight for the gate. But while it responded to her like it was water, for me it might as well have been concrete. I tried over and over again. I sifted through my gifts, trying to find one that would help. I secreted an enzyme through my palms that could eat through steel, and I used that on the gate surface. It did nothing. The gate was solid, but it wasn't matter. So I waited. I waited for an hour, and then 2. I got up and searched for other ways through, a way around. I read the history of the ground and the stones and everything in the area, searching for something useful. I saw hooded figures approach the city, and I saw one of them raise their arms, and I saw the gate appear. I saw those hooded figures walk through it, but that was all. Nothing that told me who they were or how to undo their work. I would still be there now, waiting for Ren instead of talking to you, but I heard a sound in the distance. Engines. The kind of sound that sets my teeth on edge, that makes me want to retreat into forest and soil. Mechanical things. Things so removed from this planet they might as well be from space. And then I saw them. The source of this sound. Motorcycles. Close to the ground, a plume of dust kicked up behind them. There were 6 of them, coming straight at me. And I knew, even before I could see their faces, they came from the splinter. Things you should know about the Seekers. Most gifted subjects studied by the Seekers never know they're being watched. The observations are made from afar, with stolen lab equipment and planted surveillance technology. A few, though, like mosaics, those most prized by the Seekers, they go through other forms of surveillance. Like me. Here's what happens when you're recruited and brought back to the burrow, as I was. You're taken naked into a cold metal room. Rooms like that make me feel like I'm floating in space, like I'll never feel the touch of Earth again. Once you're in this room, then you are poked and prodded by people in white coats. They speak to each other rather than to you. They pretend you aren't really there, like they're studying an empty body that doesn't really contain a person. They pull blood and hair and fluids from you, and they put these parts of you in machines, and then they see what the screens on the machines have to say. Then Miranda comes into the room. She tells you certain things. She tells you the results of these tests, the map these machines have created using your DNA. Most of it is things you already know about yourself. I already knew most of the things I could do, the way I can see the future and the past and alter my body chemistry as easily as you breathe. But some people have a few secrets, and if you have one of those, Miranda reveals it to you. Like me, for instance. Miranda showed me 2 little slits on the inside of my wrists, ones I had never seen before, and she described the structures within. Then, if you have one of these secrets, Miranda tells you to be careful and to keep them hidden away. And I did, at least until the splinter arrived. Six men got off the motorcycles. They grinned and moved with that swagger that only large, frightened men have. "The Wren ain't here to protect you, is she?" one of them said. "She's a tough cookie, but you, not so much. Freaky, but not scary." He pointed with his gun. I smelled the metal and oil from 10 feet away. "Hands up," he said. I obeyed. I held up my hands, palms out, the insides of my wrists facing toward these men. And then I let out the things that Miranda told me to keep hidden away. They don't look like much. Thin little needles, smaller than cactus spines. Translucent. So sharp one would barely feel them puncture the skin. They were in 2 little bundles hidden in my inner wrist. They shot out in all directions with enough force to hit every single person pointing their guns at me. It was over quickly. Not as quickly as when Wren pulls the water out of someone, but they fell to the ground, frothing at the mouth. And then they were dead. The little spines in my wrist aren't dangerous on their own. It's the concentrated cyanide coating that's a problem for humans. I don't think this was an ability any of my tiles had. I think it comes from the part of me that is more plant than human. A plant that makes poison to protect itself. Everything was quiet again once the men died. Everything was quiet, and I was alone on the fringes of a ruined city. I wasn't afraid for myself any longer. But I was afraid for Wren. Because if these men knew where to find us, And if they were counting on Ren and I being separated when we met, that meant that all of this was a carefully planned trap. And that meant that Ren was exactly where they wanted her. And that's when I thought of you, Zachary. Ren has described you to me so many times. I feel I almost know you myself, at least as well as she does. And we're both mosaics, so there's that thread of connection already. And that's when I realized you could help me. I lied earlier. I was afraid for myself. I am afraid for myself. Because if I don't get Ren back, I'll be alone again. And I don't want to be alone again. I'm telling you this, Zachary, because I think honesty is necessary if we're going to do this. It took me a while to find the right tools, the things I need to see the future. Usually I use tea leaves, bowls of ink, fluid I can watch for hours. Natural things my body recognizes. I don't really see the future in the liquid. Watching it just sends me into the right kind of trance. I didn't have any of those things with me. But I found a wrecked car, and I drained some of the oil out of it, and I put that oil in a pan. Then I sat down to read your future and see you from afar. And once I had found your future in the oil, and I had watched you walk through the world, and I saw what you would do, I went back to the car and I got some of Ren's things she had left there. I found the computer and the voice recorder she brings everywhere we go, even though she hides it from me. And I started making this message. And now that you know all this, Zachary, you're starting to see why. Right now, you're starting to see how your gifts and mine can intertwine to save her. I can follow threads of sound and motion into the future and far away. I see things that happen across the world, and things that won't happen until tomorrow or next week. Like right now. Let me tell you what I see. I see you, Zachary, sitting on a park bench with your phone and earbuds. This is where you always go to listen to Ren's messages. I think it's because of some scrap of memory of a park you carry from one of your tiles, but I'm not sure. But you can't help yourself. You listen to all of Ren's messages. Everyone. Sitting there on that park bench, you hear my message instead of hers. You listen as I describe the place she disappeared into, the threshold I can't breach. And you think about your own gifts, the ones I've seen in you. The one that lets you pull people or things out of time and space and put those things where you want. Things or people, like me. You can't send yourself. That's not one of your gifts. But you can send me. You have a clear picture of me, and you have a clear picture of where I am and the gate I have to pass through. And that is all you need. That's all you need to send another mosaic to help the one you love. So let's work together, Zachary. No matter how much you hate the idea, and no matter how much I hate asking you for help. Let's do this for Ren. On the count of 3, send me to her. 1, 2, 3.
Spines is a production of Zoom Doom Stories. It's narrated by Ren Jones, written by Jamie Killen, website and logos by Benjamin Pond, produced by Jamie Killen and Benjamin Pond. You can support Spines by visiting patreon.com/Spines Podcast and by subscribing and leaving a review on iTunes. Spines is a member of Fake Crafters Studios. Find more great shows at fakecrafters.net. Today we recommend White Noise, a blog covering news, reviews, and interviews from the world of audio drama podcasting. Looking for a show to enjoy? Then look no further. Want to find out what influences the creators of these wonderful shows? Visit noise.wordpress.com today to find out more.